Okay, we're going to do non-working 3-to-1 back ties, but the OCD way, the Reed Thorne way of doing this, as he'd say, it needs to be photo worthy to do it correctly. So we're going to start at this object here. I know this is not going to move, but we're going to assume that this is like a weaker forward anchor or something like that. So we have our wrap 3-pull 2. I'm going to drop the carabiner in, top, rotate it. And the standard way to do this, the most universal way, is to probably just do a figure 8 on a bite. And so this is small cordage. I don't need a whole lot of tail, and I don't need a big gain in my knot either. So I can keep this nice and compact. And as I wrap around this final turn here, I can dress this knot as I am tying it by popping one strand over the other, just like that, and then completing and sending this through, just like that. So I have a nice small gain figure 8 that's dressed and set. Okay, we have the bumpy end, the mountain end, and then the flat end. I'm going to go ahead and put my flat end facing up top, bumpy end down below. And when we say non-working, our intent is not to create mechanical advantage. So we aren't using pulleys, we aren't moving a load anywhere. So it's a non-working mechanical advantage, in theory. 3-to-1 with a back tie. So right now this is a 1-to-1 pull. If I pull on this, 1-to-1, so 1-to-1. And if I go on this carabiner here, through a change of direction, that's a 1-to-1 change of direction. I want to make a circle. And so what I'm going to do is make a circle. So I made a round turn. And so now what this looks like, if I incorporate my carabiner into this, well, let's just take this part out, and I start to move, this is now a 3-to-1, simple 3-to-1 without a change of direction, non-working. I do one more clip here, simple 3-to-1 change of direction, non-working change of direction. Ultimately, on the anchor side, I want my gates facing up as well to mirror kind of what we have going on this side. So to make it easy to pull back, so if I have a long way to go, I'm just going to clip this to my harness, and I'm going to walk this back nice and slowly. Watch your feet. Sorry. All the way back to my primary anchor, and we're going to back tie. So now I want to move beyond the anchor so that it'll give me distance to actually clip this in, and then I can tension it. So I remove this. I know that I want this ultimately to be on this side of the anchor, just like that. So I'm just going to rotate in and bring it in, knock that off. Usually when we back tie, we like to back tie low. Right now we're flat even, so I'm going to take all the slack out of this. So we're straight off the ground right here, but your ideal back tie, you want to create some downward pressure as well as tensioning back. So I'm going to slide this down, and now as you start to look all the way across the other side, we have a nice angle that's going to provide force in this direction and also force down, anchoring down to the ground. Let me step over here. So we're going to tension this against something else, usually a front tie-off position, but this is the tensioning process. I want to pull as much as I can, as tight as I can. I'm not generating mechanical advantage so much here as being able to capture my progress. 2 ways to tie this off. You can go right in to dogging it off with 2 half hitches. So I have 1. And when I half hitch, I want to continue in the direction that I started. So here I don't want to go back on that bridge. I want to continue, and it doesn't matter if I capture this or not. That does not matter. I just want to continue in the same direction that I started with the second half hitch. So I've locked off with 2 half hitches on my initial tensioning. Another way to do this that some people prefer is, especially if they're having trouble capturing that, and as they dog it off, they lose some progress. An option would be to start wrapping like on a windlass. So as I pull my tension, I can open up my carabiner and give it just a quick turn. This will help absorb the resistance that I have to hold as I lock off. So this is also an option. So I'm going to dog off the same way as I did before. So I want to get enough bite. 2 half hitches. That's 1, 2. Not to be confused with a mule hitch, which is something slightly different. So I've done my initial tensioning, so let's follow this line out here. Once I've done that, I want to get more stretch out of my back tie. And so there are 2 ways we can do that. We can vector each individual cord and pull stretch, and that'll bring our back tie slack, and then I'll have to go back and undog it and then retension it. And you just repeat this process however many times is needed. It's going to be tough to do that with that turn in there, so I'd have to hold that, remove that, and then do it again. The second way of capturing my tension is having one person really yard on this and crank on this while I have some help, and I say seize. And when I say seize, Sam, walk around me. If this is somebody else, these are somebody else's hands, we're going to start seizing by twisting these cords together. And what that's going to do is help capture my progress down here. That's just another way to do that. We can do that 2 or 3 times over until we're satisfied. Okay, let's undo the seizing. And Sam, let's follow me over here. If our non-working 3-to-1 is not sufficient enough and we need more pulling power, I can easily just piggyback and just make this a compound 9-to-1. And the way I do that is I take a look at what I'm pulling. This is my change of direction, and I want to find some way to put a mechanical advantage system onto this line back here. And so I'm using the line that's coming from the change of direction, that first initial one right here, and I'm going to do something to this effect right here. But I need some sort of throw field, or haul field, or throw, I should say, not haul field. I need adequate throw to actually crank down to give myself a compound 9-to-1. So I'm going to go up a little bit further, like up here. And just as I would start tying my bowline knot, my snap bowline knot, let's back that out again. If I was going to tie a snap bowline, I'd start by doing this. But really, what that is just a slip knot. So with this, I take a carabiner, put it in here, and then you can imagine that that's a carabiner, and then I can start to yard right there. So I have a 3-to-1 on a 3-to-1, all non-working. This will help generate or capture higher tension. And then I lock off the same on the back end. So a bunch of different options to back tie. These are just the most common ways. You can also use press hooks, but our cord is so thin that our 8mm press hooks aren't going to grab it as easily as if it were a thicker rope.